Welcome to this week's Grimm Tales Deep Cuts. That's right, our weekly horror movie breakdown. That's right, we have it, we do it, we love doing this, we love doing it with you guys, and that's why we're still here doing it. This deep in. Did I think the Deep Cuts was going to pick up the way that it did after the podcast did what it did? I wasn't sure. But you guys have made it to where Deep Cuts is still here, and I am very much appreciate it. Whether we're dunking on a movie or we're congratulating a movie. I love doing it, and I love sitting here talking with you guys. So thank you for that. Just wanted to say that. That being said, I want to say first off, most of you, and I will say this probably a couple times throughout the show tonight, most of you guys know that I am myself a fan of Bill Skarsgård. I think he has been doing a phenomenal job doing what he's doing in his career, whether he is doing an action film or a horror film. I haven't seen much else other than that. He's done a good job. Hell, this is the guy we're talking about who has done Pennywise, and I haven't done it as of right now. I haven't really indulged on this in the nature that I would like to, but I think he's done an amazing job at what he's done. That being said, did he nail it with this film? We're going to find out tonight. We're going to talk about it because I don't want to go too far into it. I want to get the general basics out of the way first. You see it right there. HuelessVision.com. Go to it, love it, share it, pass it around to your friends. As always, everything you need to know about everything that I do is right there at that website. Okay? Everything. Whether it be the shows that I do, Grimm Tales Deep Cuts, Quest Reviews, game nights, whether it's game related, movie related, topic general related, crafting related, it's all there. All there. HuelessVision.com. You'll also be able to find the merch store. And the merch store doesn't end with just IP merch. Of course, the IP merch is there, like Grimm Tales and Quest and so forth. But Hueless Vision is a brand in itself. And Hueless Vision Designs, you'll be able to find some stuff there that has nothing to do with the brand, the IPs that we have. Okay. So again, check the merch store out. There might be something there that you like. Maybe. You never know. And once we will push out as much merch as we possibly can when the ideas are right. I don't like to make just general senseless merch. There's some in there, sure. Especially the IP merch, because you got to throw your brand on shit. But again, I like to create stuff. And creativity comes with some time. So again, check it out at the merch store. You'll be able to find the schedule of everything that I do, whether it's live or on demand, that is there. You'll also be able to watch everything from this show and other stuff on demand that I have done right on the website. Again, all that. Oh, and also all the social networks that we are part of, platforms and so forth, can be found there. Whether it's YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter. It's all there. HuelessVision.com. Go to it, love it, share it, pass it around your friends. If you are watching this tonight on YouTube, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. If you're watching this on another platform, I'm sure that there's an equivalent to that, so do that. Also, make sure to leave your thoughts, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Make sure you leave those thoughts down below or wherever the hell those comments are. Leave them there. Let me know. Just don't spoil shit for other people. I've said it before. That's a no good. Don't do it. Don't spoil. I do my very best not to spoil anything here. Don't you spoil shit in the comments, because that'll get you removed. That's the one of the not only ways, but definitely a good way to get your ass removed. So don't do it. Have some damn respect. But again, other than that, leave your comments down below. I want to hear from you guys, and I want to respond, and that's one of the better ways to do it. But with that said, let's get into tonight's movie. If you haven't seen it from the title and you just clicked on the episode because you'd like to see what we do here, I will let you know right now what we are doing. We are doing the 2024 reboot of Nosferatu. That's right. Now, I want to go on record stating that I was never a huge Nosferatu fan, okay? I'm more of a Dracula fan. The Nosferatu, the original movie, and I have some notes here that I will just say right off the bat, so I'm not rambling nonsense. The original 1922 silent film of Nosferatu was, in fact, that was the Symphony of Horror, okay, the Nosferatu Symphony of Horror, was a unauthorized adaptation and, or not adaptation, but unauthorized take and a ripoff of the 1897 novel by Bram Stoker, Dracula. It was. And I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. I am a huge fan of the book. I had the book when I was growing up. It's a very good novel, very graphic in the novel. And I love the 1992, I believe it was. I love that movie. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love, Francis Ford Coppola. And oh my God, there's so many people that were in that movie, so many actors that did an amazing job in that film. I won't go into that, but that was a good movie. But this Nosferatu was always I don't want to call it a dick ride. It wasn't horrible, but it absolutely was a copycat in a lot of ways. It felt like a copycat. It did introduce, I want to say, now before people are like, oh, he's shitting on Nosferatu. No, listen. It did do some originality there. It did, from what my research has told me, Nosferatu is what introduced into the vampire lore, I guess you would say, of sunlight being the weakness for vampires, right? That was not before Nosferatu. Dracula didn't have that as a weakness. All right. So that being said, that has been a mainstay. A lot of the stakes through the heart, sunlight, so forth and so on. A lot of that shit came from Nosferatu. So, and that being mainstay stuff that helps the lore and mythos, or whatever you want to call it, of what vampires and Dracula are, right? But Count Olaf, I believe that's how you would say his name, was never a really truly compelling character to me. He always felt like a number two to Dracula. It was a very copycat Dracula. And the reason why is because they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, so they couldn't create a Dracula movie. So hence the reason why. And they apparently had a lot of them destroyed, but there was a loophole here in the United States that allowed Nosferatu to continue, and why it didn't get completely destroyed. As a result of that, it got a cult following and became a cult classic. Okay. So again, while I do appreciate the original Nosferatu, not the remake that has come before that, and not this one per se, but I respect the original for doing what it did for horror. That does not mean that it is a good movie in itself. I was never a huge fan of that. So that being said, that is going to be how I treat this film when it comes to the story. But now, that doesn't mean that I don't have my gripes with it. When this movie was advertised, I was actually really excited because I love Bill Skarsgård. And Bill Skarsgård did an amazing, when it comes to horror, Bill Skarsgård did an amazing job as Pennywise. I think he did a great job as that. It's really hard to sit there and go, oh my God, who could play Pennywise other than Tim Curry? Who the hell could do that? Tim Curry was an icon for playing Pennywise. But Bill Skarsgård did a great job at reinventing that character and making it his own. And I love that. I love that did that for him. So when I seen the trailer that he was going to be Count Olaf, or Olaf, my bad, I think it's Olaf, and being the new Nosferatu, I was like, oh, okay. All right. That's interesting. And then you hear the trailers and all the things that were being said. People are like, oh my God, this is such an unsettling movie. Where was that? Where was that movie? Because that's what I went into expecting this film to be. I was expecting this to be really unsettling and dark. Now, again, was it a good Gothic style movie? Yes, it was. It was a very Gothic portrayal. It had all the but here's the thing. If you've seen the 90s Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, okay? If you've seen that one, this, even now, while the original Nosferatu from 1922 was a ripoff of the Bram Stoker's Dracula novel, this movie almost felt a ripoff of the 90s movie. So it's like, goddamn, can you not make a Nosferatu movie without dick riding the shit out of Dracula? Because that's what it felt like. If you watch this movie, there is so many things that you're like, oh shit, that happened in that movie. And now, again, maybe that's just because the original film was portrayed like that. But I mean, shit, you needed to do something. Because the original film was notably a ripoff. So if you didn't want this to be a ripoff of the already established Bram Stoker's Dracula movie that was made in the 90s, like it seemed like a kind of like back and forth, right? Because the original Bram Stoker's Dracula novel came out in the late 1800s. And then in the early 1920, in 19th century, 19 whatever hundreds, you want to call it that, makes me feel old, 1922, they did that. Now you look at 1992, okay, and then you go all the way to 2024, and they do the same shit again. They create Nosferatu, and it just feels like a ripoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. It does, and I loved Bram Stoker's Dracula. Again, the cast was amazing in that, the acting was amazing in that, the story was amazing in that, so forth and so on. Was it as good as the novel? Maybe not, but it was still a good movie. This just felt like, hey, everybody's forgotten about that movie. Let's create Nosferatu, and it could be that movie all over. No. Now, again, it wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't good. It wasn't what I wanted to be. And the way that people made this sound, oh, the unsettling, creepy, dark movie, no. And I know it wasn't Bill Skarsgård's performance problem. It wasn't. He did a good job for what he was supposed to do. As shown in It, he did an amazing job of making Pennywise scary again, right? I mean, shit. Pennywise scared me as a kid, and the movies had a few moments where it was really unsettling. This did not have that. Watching this, it was just like very boring, very bland. And again, I've made this point. If you're going to make a vampire flick, do not do two things. It instantly pisses me off. Do not make them Twilight level vampires. Don't make them pretty boys. Don't make them pretty. Make them fucking monsters. Yes, they can be pretty when they're in their human form, if that's the route you want to go, because that's what vampires are supposed to be. They're supposed to be seductive creatures that can lure you in, and then when they get you in, they go into their monster form and they kill you, right? That's what vampires are. I'm not saying they can't be pretty, but they also have to be monsters, okay? This movie went in the opposite direction. In no way was the Count attractive. Like, he was basically a fucking zombie. And the fact that he had relations, like the chick, oh my God, something wrong with the chick. She basically fucking a zombie, all right? And that's just, goddamn, if that's your thing. And again, I mean, Bill Skarsgård's got some full frontal in this shit, so maybe that's what did it for her. I don't know, but I mean, goddamn, the guy had pustules, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. That also being said, the redesign of the Count, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I did not like. It's a fucking mustache, man. That fucking mustache was weird. I didn't like it, right? And I know that's not Bill's fault, but I just did not feel like the redesign of the Count worked for me. There's a lot of things. I was very disappointed in this film. I went into this film really wanting something out of it. I love vampires. You guys know this. I've said this a billion times. I love vampires when they're done right. It wasn't a bad classical vampire flick. If you've never seen the Bram Stoker's Dracula or never read the book, then this would probably be a good gothic horror for you. Yes, if that is the case. But if you are a fan of the original Bram Stoker's Dracula movie or even the book, this just feels like an easy number 2 or a ripoff to it. It does. And that is a damn shame. It is, because I really wanted this film to be something more. Let's go into some fun facts of the film, because that's what we do here. This movie came out December 25th of last year, 2024. If you're watching this later, then disregard that. But that's where this came out. December 25th, 2024. Really wanted to do this. I really wanted to see this in theaters. Kind of glad I didn't. But I really wanted to. The reason why I did not go to see this in theaters is because I knew that my surgery was coming up at the time. And anyone who knows who's been following my shit on all the short form knows that I'm still going through post-surgery recovery. But I knew I was going to be doing that, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do a show on it at the time. Hence the reason why I did not go to see it. Luckily, I did get to see it on a streaming service now, because I would have been a little pissed off if I actually would have went to see it in the theaters. So again, December 25th, 2024 is when it came out. The style, gothic horror. Yes, it definitely was. I wouldn't even really consider it a monster flick, even though it could be loosely a monster flick, yes. But this is more of your typical gothic horror. So, take that as you will. The R rating, it had a little bit of blood. It did have some violence. It had some nudity in it. So, yeah, I guess it earned its R rating, I guess. It is rentable. $5.99. If you want to rent it, I don't think it is a bad rental. $5.99 I don't think is horrible as a rental. So, sure, go for that. Purchase-wise, again, I've made it clear how I felt about rentals. Digital rentals. Buy that, or not, but not purchase, my bad. I've made it clear how I feel about digital purchases. I'm not a really big fan of them. I like physical purchase. If I'm going to buy a movie, I want to physically own the movie. So do it at what you will. Again, like I said, I'm probably going to, in the near future, be dropping the buy information. But for now, $19.99. Do with that as you will. It is watchable on Peacock. So again, if you have Peacock, go watch it. It is not, worst case scenario, you lose some time. Maybe a little bit more time than I would like. It runs a little long. But again, it is streamable on Peacock. If you have that, go for it. If not, again, $5.99, not too bad. The budget, $181.3 million. Now again, I know casting-wise, that probably played a role. Scenery was not bad. Graphically, this was not a bad movie. So if a lot of that money went into the production and visuals of this film, fine. Not horrible. I think that the budget was a little large for what we got, considering that I've seen movies have less and still do a good job. So I don't know. Maybe that was because of the casting. I don't know. Maybe Bill Skarsgård, with him being where he is now in his career, maybe he wanted a little bit more, which fair enough. So again, that is the budget. Box office, though. Oh, my bad. I said that all backwards. I said that all wrong. Budget was $50 million. $50 million. Shit, I can't believe I did that. I fucked that all up. Disregard that. $50 million budget. Still a little high. $181.3 million box office. So again, at that point, it was a success. So take that with you will, because it did make back its budget and it did make back some. So I guess that would be considered a success. I do like to see when horror movies do succeed in the box office. I just wish this movie wasn't a letdown as to me it was. I feel like I wish it would have been a better movie. And lastly, the runtime of the film, 2 hours and 12 minutes. Again, like I said, I think this movie drug on a little longer than it needed to. It was very slow. Pacing was a little out of whack. It could have been an hour and a half, and I think it would have been a little better. Again, a lot of it has to do with the original, I guess. They wanted to try to push all that in there. Fair enough, but damn, at times I was really trying with this movie sometimes. I really was. Now, that being said, it is time to get into the scoring. That's right. That is what we do here. We give you our scores. Those scores are always the same every week. Those are on story, acting, pacing, gore score, and production. I give each one of those a score from 1 to 5, 1.5, 2.5 if necessary. If it's below a 1, I give it the pile. If it's above a 5, I give it the seal. We don't give those out very often, but they do get when they need them, when they are necessary. After I give those 5 their scores, we move over to the overall, and the overall works similar to that, except it is a 1 to 10 score, 1.5, 2.5 if necessary as well, and the pile and seal are in effect. So keep all that in mind. With that said, though, it is time that we get into the scoring of the show. So let's do it now. What did I give the score for the story for Nosferatu 2024? I gave it a 3. So that's me being generous, I think. Again, a lot of this felt like a ripoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. If you're a fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula, you'll understand what I mean. Even this film felt like a ripoff of the 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just like the 1922 movie, a silent film of Nosferatu, was a ripoff of the late 18th century novel of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So again, story, that's me being generous. I liked the story because it was familiar, but it wasn't a good story as far as originality. It wasn't. It wasn't at all. Now, moving on to the acting. What did I give the acting? I gave that a 4.5. The acting was actually spot on. Everybody did an amazing job. Everybody nailed it with their performance. That was not bad in any way. Take that with what you will. Bill Skarsgård delivered with his portrayal of the Count in this film. The design was bad, sure. I wasn't a fan of that. But he did a good job portraying a character that necessarily did not have a voice before. He gave a character that did not have a voice. So you can't really go off of, was his portrayal of the character good? There was still a lot of things that were, they even had some of the original stuff from the original silent film, like the shadow of the hands creeping on the walls and shit. That was from the original, really. So again, they did a good job. The acting was really spot on. I have no complaints about that. None. William Dafoe was in this, which I love seeing William Dafoe. And he, as eccentric as he is, did an amazing job doing what he does. So again, not a bad film in any way when it came to the acting. Now let's move on to the pacing. Unfortunately, I can't be as generous with that. I gave it a 2. That is the best I could do. At times I wanted to give it a lower score than that, but I was being fair with this. At times this movie drug on and felt sluggish. Felt like I wanted to just pause it and go do something else. Which if you're watching the film, you should never feel like that. You should never feel like that is something that you want to do. If you lose the urge to watch the film, then the immersion's broken. That's a problem. Backstorying, lore, all that shit. It was just very bam in your face. You didn't really even give a shit about the Count. You really didn't. They could have done something about that. So again, pacing, not so good. Sadly, for the next one, I have to give this score. I'm giving the gore score a 1.5. And I've made this clear. Whenever you do a vampire flick, if you do not have good gore in it, it is not a goddamn vampire flick. It's not. Even 1992 film, while it wasn't a bloody mess, still had better gory visuals than this one. It's a fucking vampire. They're monsters, for fuck's sake. You have to have some gore in there. Shit. So 1.5 for a Nosferatu, and the fact that people made this seem like it was such a edgy movie and all, like this paid advertisement actors shit that people put in their I guess promotional shit, it's getting old. Please stop doing that. Because when you make a film sound like it's so much more edgier and dark than it actually is, you're really hurting yourself. Because when people go to see that, it's like, that wasn't what you said it was. So stop doing that. So 1.5 is the best I can do. Production, on the other hand, I can go higher. I gave the production a 4. Visually, this movie was beautiful to look at. While yes, the recreation of the look of the Count was not something I liked, he still looked good. He didn't look bad. The visuals for him and his design was still good. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was still good. The environment was very well good. Like, I'm sure they used I'm sure there was some green screening in there, and it paid off well. It looked good. The atmosphere was very dark, gritty, and gothic. It looked very pretty to look at. The soundtrack, the atmosphere, it was good. So a 4 for the production was good. So that's like that and the acting were the high points of this film. With that said, let's move over to the overall of this film. What did I give the overall score for the 2025 reboot of Nosferatu? I gave it a 5.5. That is the best I could do, unfortunately. I really wanted to give this film more. I really did. I want you guys to understand that. I wanted to give this a higher score. By the sounds of it and by what my anticipations were, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to give it better scores all around. But their shitty ass marketing and the way that they pushed this film made my anticipation higher than the actual film was. So 5.5 at mid. This was a mid movie. It was, sadly. Acting was good. Bill Skarsgård did his very best to make this movie what it was. And all the other actresses and actors did as well. But even that and the visuals could not save it. It's a mid movie at best. 5.5 is the best I can do. Take that with what you will. If you want, go on Peacock. Like I said, is it worth a watch? Sure. If you've never seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, then maybe this will be a little bit more enjoyable to you. If you've seen it, you're going to feel like it's a kind of a copycat. In my opinion, that's what it felt like. And not a really good one at that. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula is still better, in my opinion. If you've never seen it and this is your first really vampire flick, which, I mean, fair enough. I guess somebody always has to be a first, right? Then maybe it might be an enjoyable movie. But I suggest go watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then watch this, and then tell me how you feel about it. Because then maybe you'll understand what I mean by that. But, with that said, that is the show, guys. And you know what that means? It is time for us to get the hell out of here. That's right. We talked about it. We delivered what we did. We gave you our final thoughts on the Nosferatu reboot. If you agree with what I have to say or disagree with what I had to say tonight, leave it down in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about what this show had to say about it. You didn't like my scores? Let me know. You agree with them? Let me know. Just don't spoil shit for other people in the chat. Don't do it. Don't like that. We try not to spoil anything for people in here. Don't you do it either. That's what the podcast is for. And whenever we do get around to doing the podcast, we haven't done by the time you see this, that is what the podcast is for. We spoil everything on the fucking podcast, but not deep cuts. This is the place where we let you know how we felt about a movie, we give you our scores, and we get out. That is what it's for. So don't you do it. Other than that, though, get down in those comments. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you felt about the movie, and let me know how you felt about my thoughts about this. With that said, get over to the website. You see it right there, huelessvision.com. Check it out. Love it. Pass it around. Share it with your friends. It helps a lot, as I always say. Everything you need to know is there, whether it is the merch store, which has Grimm Tales merch and other stuff as well. You'll also be able to find every other show that I do and how to watch them. Whether that is Grimm Tales Deep Cuts, Grimm Tales the Podcast, the Quest Reviews, gaming related shows like Game Nights and Spicy Ramen and The Drop, and other stuff that I do as well will be on that website. You'll also be able to find the schedule. You want to know what is going on, what is weekly, and what is coming up event-wise, that is there as well. You'll also be able to find about me and all the other stuff. Everything you need to know, especially all the platforms you can watch this and other things that I do, whether it's short form or long form, all that and more can be found, once again, huelessvision.com. Go to it, love it, pass it around. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with everything that I do here on this platform. If you're watching this on another platform, whether it be Rumble or any other platform, I'm sure there's an equivalent of it, and you guys can do that as well. But with that said, you know what time it is, guys. It is time for me to get the hell out of here. Had a great time talking about the film, as always. I love being here weekly with you guys. Make sure to check me out on the next one. But until then, I'm going to get the hell out of here, guys. I will see you on the next one. Peace out, peeps.